Brian? Come to hear all of that.
I was just watching it and it blew my mind.
Talk to me about that.
I know what that. I understand hard times and I understand good times. And, you know, in life, they have to come. You're gonna have to deal with both of them because that's what life consists of: good times and bad times.
And he told me, and I'm not gonna say who it is, but he's like, Mayweather's broke. I said, no. He's like, no, really, Mayweather's broke. Now, I don't know if it's true.
Right.
This is what this guy told me. I'm like, how could he be broke? He's like, yo, he spends like crazy.
So, like, you know, Floyd's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. You know, he had 50 fights and he said, wow. So don't tell me about you the greatest fighter with 50 and 0, nigga. You're great, no doubt about it, nigga. 50 and 0.
We were excited about you and Floyd. Is that still happening, or is that?
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah, it's happening. You think I give that up? I was minding my business. He challenged me.
You look good. How you feeling physically?
Incredible.
You've been training?
Listen, I was wearing an extra large. It looks like I'm wearing large now.
Looking good, man. Still looking scary.
There are moments on live television where a guest says something so unfiltered that the studio air itself feels different. And Mike Tyson delivered exactly that on his appearance alongside Stephen A. Smith. With the kind of unapologetic directness only a former undisputed heavyweight champion can carry into a room, Tyson went straight for Floyd Mayweather without hesitation, without diplomacy, and without a single look back. But it was the sort of television gold that no publicist could have scripted and no network executive could have predicted. What made it hit so hard wasn't just the words, it was the messenger. When Mike Tyson speaks about another fighter's character, the room listens differently. This wasn't a podcast rant or a social media call out. This was a live broadcast, a hot microphone, and one of the most recognizable voices in sports history, choosing to use that moment to say exactly what was on his mind about one of boxing's most celebrated and most controversial figures.
How do you feel about Floyd, though?
Huh?
How do you feel about Floyd?
Awesome fighter, great fighter. You know, he's a little too into himself. You know, he should be. I was the same way too, but you have to come to reality some way. You have to bring your head down to God. We're nothing to be fucking arrogant. You expect us to be ignorant and arrogant. Look where we came from.
That's why I asked the question earlier about you mentoring fighters, because I feel like Floyd looked at you growing up like every other fighter. And the persona and the lifestyle was like, growing up in the hood, we looked at it like, that's Mike Tyson. We see the cars, the jewelry, the flair. Like you was a movie star. You was a hero.
I didn't see that.
Tyson's portrait of Mayweather was anything but flattering. He laid out a vision of Floyd as a man too in love with his own reflection, arrogant, deeply self-absorbed, and alarmingly disconnected from the world the rest of us actually live in. The lavish cash displays, the stacks fanned out for social media, the ostentatious performances of wealth. Tyson wasn't buying any of it as genuine confidence. To him, it read more like theater. Carefully rehearsed act designed for an audience rather than a reflection of real security. There was a psychological edge to Tyson's critique that went beyond simple rivalry or old grudges. He wasn't just poking at Mayweather's personality. He was suggesting that somewhere beneath all the gold and glitter, the man might not be as settled as the Instagram grid implies. It was a character dissection delivered with the calm authority of someone who has lived through the highest highs and the lowest lows that fame and fortune can produce.
Because Floyd, we've been friends since 2002. There was a point where I'm looking at things and I'm going, yo, we kind of got the wrong messaging point. Because we're saying we got all the money in the world, we're going to burn it, we're going to get it again. So what? When you say change it, he goes, nah, you do that, Five. He said something to me one time, very simple. He said, what a prize fighter fight for? And I'm like, and he said, the prize. Don't nobody watch Floyd fight to see how amazing he is. They're watching it for the opportunity to see him lose.
Right.
Because they don't like him.
The arena have just shown Floyd Mayweather and they begin to boo immediately.
They don't like him because everything that he says is about money. There's nothing else. There's no values. There's no, like the people's champ, like Ali was standing for the same things.
Right.
The audience was standing for. You know, he doesn't have any of that. It's just money.
I take 30 watches with me.
Tyson made one thing crystal clear: what you accomplish inside the boxing ring does not give you a free pass to behave however you like once the final bell rings. Championships, records, undefeated streaks, none of it, in his view, buys a person the right to abandon humility. And the constant, relentless flaunting of wealth? Tyson argued that habit erodes a legacy far more effectively than any opponent ever stepped into a ring to do. It was a pointed observation, and coming from Iron Mike, boy, it carried the weight of genuine experience. When Tyson said plainly that Floyd's behavior is actively damaging his own image, it didn't land as gossip or shade. It landed as a verdict, sharp, public, and delivered with enough conviction that it was impossible to brush aside. The entertainment world took notice immediately, because there is something uniquely compelling about one boxing legend standing in front of a camera and telling another that the greatest threat to his story isn't a challenger in red gloves. It's the man staring back at him in the mirror.
No, I didn't make as much money as you'd think fighting
Did
Floyd.
you get paid from that?
He still owes me $1.5 million, maybe more.
How does he owe you the money? Why don't you just like...
Here's what happened. He pre-sold the fight using my likeness to some company in, I think, Dubai or like the Middle East for $10 million cash. We ended up doing the fight in the States with a different company. That is the company that put on the fight. That is the company that paid me. But he sold our fight with my name and likeness to someone else in Dubai for $10 million cash. It's our fight, bro. Our deal was 15%. He smoked me. So I got 15% of it. 15% of $10 million is $1.5 million. That company paid him that money, is suing him. I actually don't know the status on that lawsuit. I should check in because he still owes me money, but he has a bunch of legal trouble at the moment. I don't think I'm ever getting the money.
He just sold his house in Vegas.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I think, he's facing a bunch.
Rinsed on that house. He started at $14 million.
Yeah.
Sold for 6.6.
Then came the moment that detonated across every sports talk show, highlight reel, and comment section within minutes. When Tyson stated without flinching that he would knock Floyd out, it didn't register as trash talk or playful banter between two legends in their twilight years. It registered as something far more serious, a declaration rooted not purely in physical threat, but in the belief that respect has to be earned through how a man conducts himself when the cameras are off and the crowd has gone home. The fan reaction was instantaneous and electric. The internet exploded the way it only does when something genuinely unexpected happens on live television. Stunned, divided, and completely unable to stop talking about it. Sides were chosen, debates erupted, and for a brief moment the entire sports entertainment world was orbiting one conversation. Whatever your position, Tyson's message cut clean through every layer of noise. Humility is not optional for greatness, and ego left unchecked has a way of shrinking even the most towering legacies down to something unrecognizable. Tyson closed his argument like a fighter landing the final combination of a championship round. You can win every fight on your record and still lose the narrative that follows you for the rest of your life. Public respect, he suggested, is the title no belt can represent, and once you let it slip away, no rematch clause brings it back.
Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Money's just flowing. Even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's probably made more money than any boxer ever. There's all these lawsuits. He hasn't been paying things. He owes money on this and owes money on that. And then he's got to come out of retirement.
It's just the lifestyle that Floyd lives. It's like he got to be lavish. So that he got $1 million in his backpack. He got the latest watch and the latest car.
And when you get into latest watches and latest cars, boy, that money goes quick. Bugattis are like $3 million. There's watches that are $3-5 million. So you buy a watch and a car, you're dead.
Just when the energy in the room had settled into that heavy cinematic tension that only a Tyson versus Mayweather conversation can generate, that collision of raw power against surgical precision, of living mythology against a survival instinct dressed in designer suits, the tone shifted completely. Wade stepped in, and within seconds, the entire discussion took a sharp left turn away from ring strategy and straight into financial territory. One moment we were talking about boxing history, and the next, somebody had apparently invited the accountants. What made it even more disarming was the laughter. Wade couldn't quite hold it together as he started walking through the swirling rumors around Mayweather's finances, and that reaction alone said everything. There's something about the absurdity of a man universally nicknamed Money potentially being at the center of cash flow whispers that struck even the people discussing it as almost too strange to say out loud with a straight face.
Third fight of the year for a Floyd Mayweather that is clearly going broke, and it's not just and if you guys didn't see the video I did talking about Floyd coming back to fight Mike, This is not me sensationalizing. This is the truth. There is no speculation, but I told you guys, Floyd owes a lot of people a lot of money, and he don't have it. Logan Paul also discussed this, and this is probably the best screenshot I couldn't gotten on this video. My God, his ramen noodle hair is flying in the wind, and there's no wind in that place. But Logan dropped some knowledge that Floyd is still scamming him for their 2021 fight. We're going to go.
Wade dove in with the kind of candid energy that makes for genuinely compelling television, barely containing his amusement as he started mapping out Floyd's recent fight scheduling, exhibition bouts, crossover matchups with opponents from entirely different entertainment worlds, and of course the spectacle of sharing a ring with Mike Tyson himself. Wade lined them all up and let the pattern speak for itself. The underlying tone was unmistakable. When a retired champion starts stacking up fights at this pace, something beyond pure love of competition tends to be driving the calendar. To be clear, nobody in that conversation was declaring Floyd Mayweather broke, and the internet would do well to pump the brakes before running with that headline. But when Wade brought up Logan Paul's public claims about unpaid money from their exhibition bout, the conversation entered different territory entirely. That is the kind of allegation that takes on a life of its own, regardless of whether it ever gets confirmed, denied, or quietly settled. It sticks. And in the world of celebrity and sports entertainment, a rumor with that kind of texture rarely disappears quietly.
Rinsed on that house. He started at $14 million. He custom built the house, by the way, in like 2006.
Yeah.
Started at 14, reduced to 12,
Yeah.
10, 8 came on the market, and it was a lot of house for 8. So for 6.6.
Oh, he really got
Just the cost to build that house was 9 or 10.
Whoa, he got rinsed.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
It was huge.
Goddamn.
Who would win in a fight?
And yeah, that's another piece of like what Floyd does.
The more Wade circled back to Floyd's pattern of scheduling fight after fight, years after publicly signaling that his professional career had reached its final chapter, the more the central question of the entire discussion came into focus. Is this a man who genuinely cannot stay away from the sport that made him? Or is this a man who has discovered that the pay-per-view invoice is simply too attractive to leave on the table? The distinction matters. And it's a line Floyd himself has never made particularly easy to read. What Wade also acknowledged, and what no honest conversation about Mayweather can skip, is the sheer genius of how Floyd built his brand. The entire Money Mayweather identity wasn't just a nickname, it was a business architecture. He turned boxing promotion into performance art, made himself the spectacle as much as the sport, and created a blueprint that fighters and entertainers are still studying. And that legacy doesn't disappear because of scheduling choices, but it does get complicated by them.
They're talking about, oh, watch your own pocket. You ain't ever made as much money as Floyd has. I know that, dude. I'm not saying that Floyd is as broke as one of the freaking tweakers on 6th Street Bridge in Los Angeles, dude. That's not what I'm saying. But for the amount of money that he has made, over $1.2 billion, and the amount of money that he still has, let's say it is $300 million. That means Floyd has lost 7.
From there, the conversation drifted into the sprawling landscape of Floyd's known lifestyle. The private jets, the real estate portfolio, the business ventures, the assets that would make most people's heads spin just reading the list. And as Wade talked through all of it, the question hovering over everything quietly transformed. It was no longer really about what Mayweather achieved at his peak. It became a question about whether all of that can sustain itself, and what the motivations truly are behind the decisions being made right now.
$1.4 million in jewelry debts that Floyd owes, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in rent for a private New York apartment. His private jet fuel, he's not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fuel and maintenance. He put up one of his jets that I think he even sold, but one of his jets, and I want to say one of his properties, like one of his homes, up as collateral for a $54 million loan from an individual, from a billionaire.